Hey there guys, welcome back. Hope you're all doing well. This is Chetan here from DevilCube and welcome back to a brand new Cinema 4D tutorial. It's been a very long time since I made a Cinema 4D tutorial because I've been busy with my work and I've been uploading gaming videos, as you guys know if you guys have checked out my channel for the past month. So that's the reason I haven't been able to upload a Cinema 4D tutorial, but today I've got some time, so I'm creating a Cinema 4D tutorial for you guys. So I recently checked out the original film's production logo reveal, and if you guys have checked that out, it's a very simple and a dark cinematic logo reveal. And I tried to recreate the same, and I achieved it to some extent but not completely. So let's just check that out and then we can jump in right into the tutorial and I can show you guys how to make it. So that was the logo reveal, guys. Without further ado, let's get started with this. So the first thing I want to do is I want to go and change my render settings. So I'm going to change this to 1280 by 720, and then I'm going to go and set my camera. And as you guys can see, I'm using Cinema 4D R16 version over here. So it's not going to be a big problem for this tutorial anyways, but I'm just saying. So let's drop in a camera and let's go to the coordinates, and I'm going to zero out the X, Y, and I'm going to set the Z to say probably 1280. And we can change that later, and the heading and the pitch rotation I'm going to set that to 0 as well. So that's what we get. So now let's go and create our text. So I'm just going to go to MoGraph and choose MoText, and as you can see here I have MoText, and the original film's font was similar to I don't know, BBAS. So I'm just going to be using BBAS for the moment because I think that suits the most well for the title. So I'm just going to call, let's try, I don't know, let's try DevilCube itself. So let's try original films, if that will do. So, let's actually do DevilCube. So Devil, you actually want two texts. So what I suggest you to do is I want you guys to type the full text, and I want you guys to choose the font. So let's go and choose BBAS. Come on, let's go. Okay, BBAS, and I'm actually going to go and set this to alignment to middle. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just actually going to go and drag this down so it kind of fits the screen over here. Okay, and I'm going to go to my camera, and I'm actually going to go and set the camera, and I think 1280 is pretty good, decent. Okay, I'm just going to go to the mode text and I'm going to set the depth to 25 centimeters. And now what we want to do is actually we want to go and change the caps over here. So we want to go to caps, and I'm going to choose fillet cap and a fillet cap. And I'm going to set the steps to 5 and the radius to 2. Steps to 5 and the radius to 2. And if I get away from my camera, we can see we have some nice beveling going around here, but I'm going to make this a little bit more different than my original render and more similar to the original title sequence. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to fillet type and I'm going to choose half circle. So as you can see, what that does, it makes an engravement over here, and that is more of the look we are going to go for. Okay, that looks, we actually set the radius to 3. Let's set that to 3. Okay, that's okay, that's not a problem, that's fantastic. And then what we want to do is I'm just going to go and increase a little bit the spacing over here. So if we go to the horizontal spacing, no, actually let's not do that. I'm going to make a copy of this, actually make 2 copies. I'm going to delete the first one, and here I'm going to go and just set this to Devil, and I'm going to come here and I'm just going to type this to Devil, and I'm going to select the second one, and I'm just going to make sure that there's only cube. Okay, and I'll be explaining it to you why in a moment. So cube, and here I'm going to go and set the alignment to left, which on the right, sorry. And I'm going to go to the cube, and I'm going to set the alignment to left. Okay, and then we can actually eyeball it and move this out pretty bit slightly like that. So if I go to the coordinates and I'm going to set the X to say something like 30 centimeters. Actually, let's set this to 45, and I'm going to go to del and I'm going to set that to minus 45 on the X. I think that's a pretty too much. I'm just going to set this to minus 40. Let's actually set this to minus 30, and we can go here and I'm going to set this to 30 as well. Perfect. Next, we want to go create the top borders. So I'm going to go to the manager. I'm going to grab a cube, and I'm going to grab a cube, and I'm going to shrink this down pretty tight. Actually, let's delete the cube. We're going to go and grab a rectangle spline. I'm going to set the height to around 10 centimeters, and I'm going to move this up, and let's go to the front view. And I did that by just pressing F4, and then I'm just going to increase the width till it covers my complete text. So a little bit more beyond. I think we need to move our text a little bit, so I'm just going to select and move these to center them up. And here, this rectangle, I'm going to set this to probably, I think set this to 980. That looks good. And then what we want to do is we want to go and choose an extrude NURBS, and we want to put the rectangle inside the extrude NURBS. And then I'm going to go to the top view by pressing F2 so we can actually see. And I'm going to set the movement to 25. And then I'm going to go to caps, and I'm going to go to fillet cap, and the same steps, I'm going to set that to 5, and radius, I'm just going to set it to 2, and 5 and 2. And the fillet type, you want to set that to half circle. And let's go back over here, and okay, let's get away from the camera, and that is looking pretty good. Actually, you know what? Let's go and make this 3. You know, that's fine. That's completely fine. And then I'm going to go and copy this extrude NURBS, and I'm going to drag it down. So instead of just dragging it down, I'm going to go to the coordinates, and I'm going to go and zero out this value over here. So now we have an amazing coolness over here. I think I'm going to increase the rectangle size a bit, so probably I'm going to set that to 8,000. Oops, 8,000. Okay, there we go. That looks more cool. And that's pretty much it. Okay, now before we get into the texturing and the lighting, let's just apply some basic materials. So let's go and create a new material. And here in the material, I'm going to go to the color channel. I'm just going to set the brightness down to 10. And I'm going to reflectance channel, and I'm going to go to default specular. Here I'm going to set the width to 10. I'm going to set the specular strength to 85, and the inner width to 50. So there we go. We're done with the texturing. Now, if you want, you can actually add a little bit of a metal texture. And that was because, actually, let's set this to brightness to 800. No, let's set this to 10. In the original title sequence, there is a little bit of texture, a slant metal texture. So I'm not going to be using it for this purpose. If you guys want it, you can use it. So that's not going to be a problem. And what we want to do is we want to go and dump this material on all of our extrudes. Now, if we hit Control R, we get a render. Now, as you can see, we have this shininess. This is what we are looking for. But let's make this animation more beautiful. So what we can do is we can start off with the lighting. Okay, so let's go and create a new light. And I'm going to go to the General tab. I'm going to set the intensity down to 70. I'm going to go to the coordinates. I'm going to set the X value to 100, the Y value to 150, and the Z value to 1600. So what that does is that puts the light completely way in the back. Actually, I'm going to set the X to 150 and the Y to 100, something like that. Okay, cool. Then we can go and we can create a new light again. Now, before we do any changes to the second light, in the first light, I want to go to the General tab, and I want to check off diffuse because I want to hit only the specular. So that's the most important part. Now, the second light, we can check off specular because we don't want specular hits, we want only diffuse. And I'm going to go to the details, and I'm going to set the follow-up to inverse square physically accurate. I'm going to set the radius to 250, and then I'm going to move it to the side, pretty much over there. And let's actually get away from a camera view so we can position this a little bit better, and I'm going to move this a little bit front, as you can see here. So something like that, and that's okay, and that looks fairly beautiful. Okay, then we can duplicate the slide. So hold down Control and move, and we can move this over to this side over here, and probably put a little bit up. Okay, and let's duplicate the slide once again, and we can go and set the radius of this to 350, and then we can move this and we can put it right in the center, and that's looking great. A little bit up, and we can duplicate this once again, and we can bring this down to lighten up the bottom area. We can actually bring these two lights, we can actually go to these two lights and set the radius of, let's actually select everything and set the fall off to universal physically accurate, radius in GK 350. Okay, I think that's a little bit too harsh. Okay, let's Control Z that. Okay, so we got the first light. Okay, the second and third light. Okay, that looks good. Oh, this fall off we want none, the first light that we created. Let's make a small render and see what we get. Okay, that is good. That is fantastic. That's cool. And we want to make sure that here in the general tab we have only diffuse ticked on. Okay, so now let's make more specular hits, because now we have covered only the diffuse channels. So now we want to go and make some specular hits. So I'm just going to go turn off all the lights over here, and I'm going to select all these lights. I'm going to press Alt G, and I'm going to call this let's say the diffuse, and I'm just going to hide these for a moment. That's actually okay, that's fine. So let's grab a new light, and I'm going to go to the top view, and I'm going to bring this out a little bit front over here, and we can go back, and I'm going to move this slightly up. Okay, here we want to uncheck diffuse. We want to go check the shadow type to soft, and probably set the intensity to 130. Now I'm going to set the timeline to 300 frames, and that's what we have here. So 30 frames per second is my composition timing, and here the light, I'm going to move that here, and I'm going to go to the coordinates, and I'm going to just make a stopwatch here. Make a keyframe over here, and I'm going to go to the 300th frame, and I want to move this out to the side and pretty much over here. So let's say around 520 here for me, and I'm going to make another keyframe, and I'm going to go select this keyframe, set the interpolation to linear, and I'm going to select this one and set the interpolation to linear as well. So now if we play, we see we have this nice and a smooth animation of the light going on, which should in fact affect the bevels. So if I hit Ctrl R and make a render, we can see we have those nice specular hits, which is looking fantastic. That's cool, isn't it? That's great. So let's actually get away from the camera view and bring this a little bit closer. I think, let's see if that works. Okay, that's fine. Let's go back to the camera, and now I'm going to press Alt G to make a null out of this. So let's actually wait, let me Control Z that. Okay, let's select this last keyframe, linear, great. And here on frame 0, I want to select the light, and I'm going to choose Alt G to group that into a null. And then I'm going to duplicate this a couple of times. So let's say we need 4 of these, and then I'm going to select the second null. I'm just going to bring this down over here, and I'm going to move, let's hit R to bring the rotation tool, and I'm just going to rotate this 180 degrees. So 180 degrees. So what that does is that moves it towards the opposite side. Okay, and we can take this null, and we can actually move it here to the side, and we can hit R, and we can rotate this the opposite direction, so say 90, and if we play this, it goes down. That's amazing. And we can take another null, we can take the other one, we can hit R, and we can rotate it the opposite direction, so -90, and we can move this over here, and we can bring this down, we can bring this slightly in, or whatever you want to do. like that. We can let's actually make another, let's make another copy. Let's take this, we can drag this up over here, and we can hit R and we can rotate this like that, and now if you play this, we have an animation going like that. Okay, so pretty much 5 lights, and as you can see, you can actually see in the preview itself those specular hits going and affecting it a lot. So now let's turn back all these lights, but before you do that, we just want to go and give some random brightness. So I'm going to set the intensity of this to 100. Let's go to the second one. I'm going to set this to probably 200. The third light, I'm going to set this to 150, and the fourth light, we can go and set that to 175. So different brightness makes it look more cool. And let's just close all of this up, and then we can let's see, go to the diffuse, and we can turn back on all these lights, and then we need to go to our render settings, and we want to go to effect, ambient occlusion, and anti-aliasing. This is where you want to choose the best settings. So minimum level of 2x2 and a maximum level of 8x8. That is what we want, because we want the beautiful specular hits. So let's just make a small render and see what this looks like. So obviously it is going to take a lot of time, because there's a lot of animation, sorry, a lot of detail we're giving because of our anti-aliasing. Now, as you can see here, we have these nice bevels over here. Looks pretty fantastic, looks amazing and cool, and I'm really liking it. So the next thing we want to do is let's just close this render settings over here, and then we can go on with the animation. Now, animating this is going to be a little tricky, so let's see what we can do. I'm going to group all these nulls, and I'm going to Alt G them, and I'm going to call this let's see, specular lights, specs. Okay, I'm just going to call it specs, and I'm going to hide these for now because we don't want it. And now we can go and we can go to our animation. So here we are in the camera, and I'm going to go to the coordinates, and I'm going to do some changes over here. Okay, so on frame 210, we want to give the end position of your animation, and then let's go to frame 300, and we can move this slightly back to give a more cinematic feel. And we can do that. So if you go here, and we can see that it's like slowly going back. That's cool. And then we can start off over here. Now we want to go to frame 30, and you want to zoom in, and you want to move to the left, and you want to kind of center your first letter. So for me it is D. So I'm just going to make a stopwatch over here on X as well as on the Z. I'm going to move to frame 70, and then I'm going to move back slightly. Okay, and I'm going to make a stopwatch once again, and then let's play this out and see what we get. Okay, looks like we forgot to make a stopwatch for the X as well. So we are going to do that. So X that out and make a keyframe there. Okay, now let's check it out. Ooh, okay, it looks like we're having a problem. Let's see. Okay, we want to set this to 0 as well. So let's see how this works out. Not quite right. Okay, this okay, yeah. So what we're gonna do is, since the camera zooms out so much, so here probably on frame 70 we can let's actually delete this keyframe. Okay, so now we have an animation that looks like this, and I'm gonna go here to frame 70, and I am going to zoom back a little bit, not too much, a little bit, and probably move a little bit to the left over here and make a keyframe, and then let's see how that looks. We can actually go here and probably set this to, let's say, minus 900. Let's make a stopwatch over there. Let's play this again. Okay, we want it to be a little bit close, not too much. Okay, something like that. Let's play this out once again. Okay, this is looking better. This is looking better. Yeah, I like this. Let's watch it again. Okay, so now what we can do is we can go to show F curves, and we can do the F curves thing over here. So let's say we want this to be a faster animation, so I'm just going to move this like that, or actually start off on a high note. I think this will do, and let's move this as well. Let's try this out. Let's see how it looks. Yeah, this looks better. I mean, you guys can do the camera animation as you feel. It's a very simple animation, so that's not going to be a problem anyways. Okay, so now once we are done with that, what we want to do is we want to get the actual animation of the letters showing up. So how do we do that? Pretty simple again. So let's go grab a plane effector. So before we do that, we want to go and select our cube, our text devil, and then we want to go to MoGraph effector and choose a plane effector. And now that plane effector moves the text up, so we want to go to the parameter and we want to uncheck position. We want to check on rotation, and we want to give a heading rotation of 90 degrees. And then we want to go to the fall off. We want to change the shape to linear, and we want to rotate this as well. So let's rotate this. Okay, let me actually show you guys coordinates and move this. Okay, and now we can rotate this to 90. That's perfect. Now we can, oops, oh my god, yes, we can move. And now as you can see, we have this nice animation. Okay, so we wanted to reverse around. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go to the plane effector. Under the follow, we want to choose invert, and that's going to reverse out everything for us. So now we have an unfolding animation. That's what we're looking for. So on frame 0, I'm going to set the plane effector over here, and I'm going to make a stopwatch over here for the, let's see, the coordinates, and I'm going to go to frame 120, and we want to move all this over here till we reach the last letter. Okay, and you're going to make a stopwatch over there, and we want to go and make this linear, and we also want to go and select the text, go to MoGraph effector and choose the delay effector. Where's the delay effector? There it is. And we just want to set the mode to blend and give a strength of, say, something around 65. So that smooths out the animation pretty much more. So now if I go and shut off the delay effector and show you guys, we have this hard animation, which is not what we are looking for. If you check on the delay effector, we see we have a more smooth animation. And what we can actually also do is let's go to the delay factor and set the strength to 100, and let's see how that turns out. Ooh, and now that's making it pretty slow. So let's set this to 70 and see how that looks out. Yeah, that looks more better. That looks more better. Okay. Now that's for the first part. Now for the second part, which is the text, on frame 120, or actually let's set this to go to frame 130, we want to bring in our second text. Actually, let's go to frame 120, and then we can go to just a second. Let's go to frame 210 first, and then we can hit a stopwatch here for the X position, and then we can go to frame 120, and we can move this right back here, be some little bit behind the last letter, and then we can do that. And so now the animation will look pathetic and creepy like that, and as soon as it finishes with the L, our second text shoots in and slowly falls into place, and we have a nice camera movement. Now, how do we render this out and composite into After Effects? Pretty simple. What you want to do is you want to go to render settings, and let's see, we want to go to, say we want to choose a PNG sequence. You can actually choose a 16-bit channel. That's pretty cool, and we want to check an alpha channel in case you want to add some nice background in After Effects. And if you don't want, that's completely okay, but just for the sake or for the safety of it, we can choose alpha channel. The next thing you want to do is you want to render it out into passes. So let's turn back all our lights on. Are they on? Yes, they are on. And you want to hide cube first, and you want to render the whole 300 frames. That's the most important part, the whole 300 frames. And the next thing you want to do is you want to go and render out only cube and hide the 2 bars as well. So basically this is what you're going to be rendering out. This is what it's going to be looking like. Yeah, this is what I'm talking about. So only cube, and that's going to be render 2, and render 1 is going to be the 2 bars along with the word devil. Okay, so render it out, and I'll see you guys in After Effects. Hey there guys, now here we are in After Effects, and let me just show you how we are going to be compositing it in After Effects. Now there's a small difference in this one which I'm going to be showing you because I rendered the sequence pretty different. So let me just show you that. What I actually have done is I have 2 renders over here. So the first render is with the word devil with the 2 bars, and the second render, if you see here, is again with the 2 bars. So that's the only difference. So what I did is I just used the mask tool and I masked these out. So if I show you over here in this cube, as you can see here, let me just show you this. So I kind of used the mask tool and I removed those out. So yeah, so let's go to the main compositor and show you how we did it. So I'm just going to turn this devil back on. Okay, there we go. So I'm just going to turn off this fader. I'm going to turn off the adjustment layer as well, because I'm going to be showing you how we did this. So let me turn off the mask as well, so this turned on. Okay, so there we go. So this is basically the render that we have. Let me set this to 3rd for you guys to see it better and faster. So here it is. Okay, so this is basically the whole animation. Now what you want to do is you want to go and create a new composition, and you want to put in both the title sequence. Now here on top you want a devil, and as you can see here, I'm just going to set this to 1/4, and as we move forward we have the letters that are just lining up slowly, and as soon as that happens you can see the word cube that is slightly on behind fading out. So that's pretty simple. There was just one mask I used, so this is the mask I used. The first 2 masks are basically the ones to cover up the bars, because I forgot to remove them out when rendering. And this is the 3rd mask, if I believe. Yeah, so we want to invert it, and I've set a feather of 100 pixels over here. Now if you can see the mask keyframes, I've set a keyframes for the mask path. So on frame 0, this is how it looks like. So I'm covering the whole text of cube. I'm just going to unhide devil, and then as we move slowly forward, we just want to go and cover up the part of the devil, because we don't want it to show till the last letter is turned. Okay, so we're moving forward, and slowly, and I'm going and setting the keyframes every 5 frames. So now we can make it visible. So now I move this whole mask towards the left side, and then we can have a visual look over here at the text over here. And then automatically, since the text is moving to the right side as per the render sequence made in Cinema 4D, we just need to keep the mask wherever it is and make sure that it is right beside the letter L over here. And as soon as the letter comes out, as you can see here slowly, it automatically fades away and enters. So that's how it's done. It's a pretty simple masking technique, not pretty much in detail. Okay, so once we do that, we want to drop that render into again a new composition, and you want to add a new mask to this. Now if you go to the mask properties and choose feather, I've set 100 pixels again over here, and I'm going to invert it this time. Oops, not this. Let's okay, the mask path, and we want to go here and we want to go and set this to add. Okay, and now as you can see slowly we are slowly moving the text, the mask, and revealing each letter. And then you want to go and mask according to the speed of the animation and the speed of the letters turning, as well as the camera movement. And you guys can follow up. As you can see, my mask is still here because we want all these the bars to be shown, and then we want the letters, which will come slowly fade in and sit right into place and give us a nice animation. Now to color correct this, I just added an adjustment layer, simple adjustment layer, and here I've added a glow, and here in the glow I've given a threshold of 67%, a radius of 11, and a glow intensity of 0.5. And you guys can also add in some levels to darken it out, but I think this looks pretty good and pretty decent as well. So this is pretty much how to create the original film's production logo reveal, guys. Thank you guys very much for watching this video, and I'll see you guys in my next video. If you have any questions or requests, do feel free to drop them in the comment section, and I shall surely reply to that. And I'll see you guys in another video. Till then, take care and bye bye.